right, so hello Leo listeners,
Yeah,
Cara
sure.
here from leolistening.com, where I help you understand fast-talking native speakers using TV shows and movies. So today I've got an interview with Curtis, who I met through the website Medium, which is a place where you can write articles. And Curtis wrote a really interesting article about basically learning English with movies. So I thought, okay, this guy sounds interesting. I should get him to come on and talk about his experiences. So Curtis is a software developer and nutritionist based in Ghana. So Curtis, do you want to tell us a bit more about yourself before we get into the interview?
Yeah, sure, sure. Hello, yeah, I'm Curtis. As Kara said, and I'm based in Ghana, Accra to be precise. That's the capital city of Ghana, and I I love watching it. Yes, and I've been watching movies for quite some time, but at the point I thought I should start learning something from the movies I watch, not just watch for fun. And I wrote an article. Carol found me, and here I am.
Exactly, yes. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to get into the contents of the article a bit more, but right, so you mentioned that you live in the article you just said, I live in a country where English is the official language. You didn't say where. Now we know that it's Ghana. So what like language or languages did you grow up speaking at home?
Sure. Yeah, so we have quite a number of languages here, but I I speak two languages. I speak the Akan language and the language. My my mom speaks Akan language. My dad
Right.
speaks the Ghana language. So
Okay.
growing up, I I I I spoke both languages. Yeah, that's it. So both Akan language and Ghana language.
Okay. All right. So like two local languages, I guess. Um,
Yes,
okay,
yes.
in Ghana. And then so English was something I guess that you learned after, like,
And English, we use English for official purposes.
right.
English for official purposes. So if you're going for an interview, you won't be interviewed in Akan language or Ghana language or any of the other local languages. You would be
Okay.
interviewed in English.
Okay.
So you would have to. So you would have to learn. Even though in our school we do learn both. We do learn English, the local languages, yes, but we officially we use English.
Okay. As the like language of instruction in school.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes,
All right. So like, okay, so it's an official language, so it's very much a language of like school, jobs, um, kind of formal
yes,
contexts, if you like. And then in day-to-day
yes, and
life,
and that's because yes, but day to day we I meet friends and basically the local language that I speak either Ga or P, yeah, with them.
okay,
So
yeah, so
I
yeah,
would
so you
only
don't
speak
like,
English with my friend.
okay, yeah, so it's not something you use informally, like day to day.
Yeah, so informally it's always the local language.
Okay,
Yes,
all
but
right.
then
But
for formal stuff we use the English.
okay, and so but if I showed up in Ghana tomorrow, it would be okay for me to use English with most people, or
Yeah,
okay,
you would. Well, if you go to the market, if you go to the market to buy something, you would have to know some Gan or tree, because
okay.
then you would be able to. Without that, you won't. Okay, you can actually point. You can point at whatever you want to buy. So I want
Yeah.
this. I want that. I want this. I want that. Yeah. yeah, and we have some called pidgin. I don't know if you've heard of pidgin language.
Okay,
Pidgin is
yeah.
a yes. So we use pidgin here. We Pidgin is a cross between English and the local language. So if I'm Ga, I can speak Ga pidgin, which is combination of English and Ga. Or if I'm a Kan, I can speak the Kan pidgin, which is combination of the uh, English and Akan. And even in other countries, it's the same in other countries
Mm.
too. Because say Nigeria, they would speak English uh, and the local language as one language, and it becomes pidgin for them. So we have
Okay.
in Ghana we have our own. So if you can speak if the when you get to a market, supermarket, or any grocery store or wherever you go, and the one over there can speak pidgin, you'll be good because they would be able to understand the English you're speaking.
Okay. Did you hear the question, or do you want me to repeat it?
No, kindly repeat.
Okay. Yeah, so you said in your article, you said that you loved watching movies, but you realized after a while that instead of just watching for fun, you could actually use them to improve your English. So can you talk about what you did, what you started doing, what you stopped doing to actually learn English
Yeah,
from?
sure. Yes. So this whole thing started when I was in my third year of university,
Right.
and yes. So what I used to do back then was anytime I had an external hard drive. So
Hmm.
anytime I see anybody watching a movie, I would I would go get it from the person. And
Right.
over time, I had a lot of movies on my external drive, and I started watching them. Already, I loved watching movies, yes, but then this time, because I had access to so many movies, I was just watching, and I was a science student, so I had a lot of uh, we did a lot of practicals.
Right.
So I had a lot of reports to write at the end of every week. So we can have a practical section or a lab session today, and say 2 days after there'll be another one. So by the time it's the weekend, I would have a lot of reports, you know,
Mm.
uh, to do. But then instead of doing those reports, I would rather be watching movies back to back, like just binge watching movies, just like that. And when I got to the my third year, I was like, no, this has to stop because my I was enjoying, yes, watching movies, but then at the expense of my reports and other things. So
Right.
the first thing the first thing I needed to do was to find a way to maybe not stop watching movies totally because I didn't think I could do that. I mean, yeah. So find a way to uh, just be smart about it, just
Mm.
to do it well. Yeah. So I I just gave the external drive to a friend and then just copied maybe one or two movies to the laptop itself.
Okay.
And yes, and the my intention was I was going to just watch these two for that weekend because usually I binge watch them. So a lot I can't even count. So this time I was like, let me just watch two. Let me just watch two, yeah, and see how that goes. So I just copied that give the external drive to a friend. Uh, let him watch the movies on. I don't really
Okay.
care. So 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 that weekend I did my reports. I did everything. I was doing the reports over the weekend. I'll try. So if I have a report to write today during the week, I will do that so that by the time the weekend comes, I may have just one to do instead of having, if it's three reports, instead of having all three to do, to have one. So that was what
Right.
uh, I did. And uh, now, as I started watching the movies, I was like, okay, so I'm getting something out of that. So I'll be able to focus more on my studies, yes. But then is there something, I don't know, it just hit me that there might be something else I can actually learn from these movies, uh n- not just saying, okay, I just love watching movies. No, is there
Mm.
something I can get out of this? And then I was like, yeah, there's something I can get out of it. What if I start paying more attention to the words and the phrases used in the movies I watch? Yes. So that was what I started doing, started paying attention to that. And that was when I realized that, oh, there were most of the words and phrases that I uh, already use in my everyday speech were things I picked up from movies. I
Okay. You
was,
just didn't
I,
realize it maybe before.
I didn't realize it. I was shocked. I was like, wow. So I was kind of motivated to do more of that. Yes. But then I remember during the that first week, during the first week, uh, I I was like, okay, so if I'm not going to watch movies, is there something I can do aside watching movies? Because now that I have more, I've already done, or I strive to do my reports on time.
Mm.
I have a lot of time, free time during the weekend. So if I'm not going to watch movies, what then am I going to do? So I started reading books. So reading books, and then I also started downloading ebooks from online to read, and that helped because this time, instead of just watching, let me put this across. What I really love about movies is story, the
Mm.
story, the storylines and all that. So I realize that I it's not just movies that would give me that thing. I can get it from
Mm.
reading the novels and books and all
Mm.
that. So I did that too, and I picked a few words and phrases. And I, I was mostly interested in cool words and phrases. So
Mm.
if you remember the article I read, I kept mentioning cool words and phrases. So I wasn't just picking words and phrases, because that's what I realized even at school when you are being taught uh, English. You just given some generic words and
Mm.
phrases, just standard words and phrases. But then to get really cool ones, you get them from things like movies and novels, and yes. So that was what I noticed. So I supplemented the watching with reading. But then I must say, I didn't really like it that much because um, it when I compare reading to watching, to me watching is faster. So
Right.
if it's an hour or two, you watch and that's it. That's if it's a single movie, and that's it, you're done. But in a book, you start reading before you realize you want to sleep, and then you sleep, you then you pick it up later, and you start reading, and you watch it from beginning to the end. Yeah,
Mm.
that's what I noticed about. That's the difference between the two. And another thing I did was to use subtitles. Subtitles,
Okay.
very, very, very important. Now, even before this whole thing, I always preferred watching movies that had subtitles because
Okay.
um, I could I could really uh, I could see that, oh, okay, if someone says uh, hello there, I see the right on the screen, hello
Mm.
there, yes. But then I it was around this period that I really came to appreciate the importance of subtitles, because
Mm.
now whatever I was seeing, whatever I was hearing uh, from the speakers, I could see on the screen, and that was really good. That helped uh, me a lot. But then the challenge over there was sometimes it was or that was in the beginning. It was a little bit distracting, yes, because
Mm.
trying to watch something on screen and read the writing at the same time was a little bit difficult. But
Yeah, it's tricky.
over time, I got used to it, and I was able to do that. And another thing too that I did was to pause.
Right.
Pause.
Okay.
Yeah. So uh, you don't just watch the movie and uh, you hear something cool, and you you just continue watching. No, no, no. I don't do that. I pause, and
Hmm.
I make sure I okay. So uh, maybe someone says uh, it's not rocket science, and I'm like, whoa,
That's cool. A cool expression.
yeah. So I just pause, and then I think about it. Like, wow, I just admire the word like that. And sometimes I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me. So what I do is I go online and
Right.
just and okay, so uh, it's not rocket science, or just meaning of it's not rocket science,
Mm.
something
Okay.
like
So
that. And
you search for it.
that's
Yeah.
yes, yes. So that's on Google or any uh, search engine. So
Okay.
I
And
do
uh,
that.
just a question about that process. So, like, when you were pausing things and like watching with the subtitles in order to see like nice expressions, did you write them down and search later, or did you like stop the movie and search while you were going, or how did you manage that?
Yes. So most of the time, I pause the movie
Right.
and on the go. Yes.
Right. Okay.
And but when I get to my next step, or the next thing I do, which is to take, so that leads me to my next point. That is to take notes.
Right.
To take,
Mm.
because when it comes to taking notes, you can take notes. You can take mental notes, or um, written ones, because there are
Mm.
some things you can commit to memory, and there are some things you can't really commit to memory. So
Mm.
uh, I always take notes. So
Okay.
I yes, and I'm a digital person, so uh, I prefer taking notes on my phone, so I can have access to the notes everywhere I go. Yes, but then uh, some people prefer writing things down on paper, in a book
Mm.
or a diary, or yes. So that's okay. But I prefer having an app, a notes app, that I can hold things. So I see the word or the phrase, and I type it down on in the notes app, so I can have
Right.
access to it every time. Yes, and then
Okay.
yes, and the next thing is to use them, is to share them, because you just having
Mm,
the words or the phrases down doesn't really do much if you aren't using them. So you
exactly.
need to find a way, yeah, find a way to use them. And what I used to do back then was each day I pick one word or phrase from the notes I have, and I I go like, okay, so uh, who does that? That is a phrase. So okay, so I know I would want to use who does that when someone says, or someone does something that I don't think the person should have done. So
mm.
someone does something like, who does that?
Who does that? Yeah.
So during the day, so during the day, I just wait for opportunities to use the word or the phrase. So once I get the opportunity, I just use it and just chip it in my sentence, just like that. And
Okay.
then,
Just yeah, try it
uh,
out and yeah.
yes, and sometimes too, I would just I use my social media uh, platform. So if there's any
Oh,
conversation, yes, conversation online on any of my social media platform. But at that time, I was very active on Facebook. So
right.
yes, so if there's any comment or anything that I want to make, I find a way to use something from my notes. So either a word or a phrase, I find a way to use it. And the good thing about doing that was anytime, on social media, anytime you post something and you come back later, going through your timeline, you see that thing.
Mm, true.
Yes.
Yeah.
So as you keep seeing it, it just keeps being reinforced in your memory like that.
Mm,
So you seeing it every time you go through your social media platform, your social media profile, you see it there, and it just sticks in
reinforces
memory.
it. Yeah.
Yes,
Wow, that's a
yes.
really cool way to use social media, like not for just procrastinating or just like wasting
Mm,
time, but
mm,
actually for language learning. That's a really proactive way to use it. And I think that's a
mm,
really great tip for people who are watching who are like, oh, but I can't use these expressions in real life because I don't have English speakers to talk to. You know, we can all find ways to use English like online.
yeah,
So, all right, I really like that. I really like
exactly,
that tip. Mm,
exactly,
okay.
exactly,
Awesome. So I
exactly.
guess like to sum up, the really important thing is to start being more active about the way you watch movies. Like that's what it really comes down to.
Yeah,
And actually, just an
and
idea that I
paying more
had.
attention to the dialogues.
Right, okay, to pick up these expressions. And I was just thinking, like, you mentioned like watching with subtitles and like taking notes in a note-taking app, but I was thinking like you could just take a screenshot or like take a photograph of the scene with the expression that you want to learn, and then you'd have that visual reminder of like the person's face or the body
Yeah,
language or
yeah,
like the
yeah, yeah,
scene,
yeah,
and you could save that to a note-taking app, like have these
yeah,
like images or
yeah,
screenshots. I
yeah,
think that
yeah.
would be really cool as
That's
well.
that's
Like,
that's really cool. Yeah, yeah,
okay,
that works too. Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna recommend that to people. With my students, I do get them
Yeah.
to note things down at like the way that they want. So if they want to write, they can write. Because sometimes I do think that's better for memory, but then everybody's different. Like you say, like if you are really like more techie and you like having things on your phone, like you say, you get the advantage of like you have it all the time. So you can always be like, oh yeah, that expression. Let me let me have a look before I start. before I start using it. So okay, that's a really interesting way to use like technology as well for language learning. So like you say you're a big movie addict and you love watching movies. So like, have you got any favorite movies and any that you would maybe recommend to people learning English?
Sure. Yeah. So when it comes to movies, to me, once you use subtitles, any movie works. But
Right.
then, but then, it's not really about. I don't like limiting people to this movie, that movie, because everyone
Mm,
has their favorite. I prefer movies that uh uh with, science fiction. Yes, basically.
right. Okay.
Yes. So I prefer science fiction. So I would say watch movies like Game of Thrones, uh, movies like Arrow, uh,
Okay.
movies like Flash. So you get the direction. Yes. So
Okay. Right. So if you're
that's
into
where I
fantasy,
get.
science fiction, that kind of thing. Okay.
Yes, yes,
Right.
yes, yes, yes. But then if I recommend this to someone, that may not be what the person wants to watch.
Mm,
They will want something else. Yes. So it's really about the movie. Uh, it's about just hearing the people speak English. And the one thing I noticed about movies is that, we have people who write scripts. Yes.
yes.
So
Mm,
yes. So whenever the script writers do their work, they make sure that the dialogues uh, are in a particular way that people are going to understand. That's what I noticed. So
right.
regardless what movie you watch, the script writers have done their job very well. And then some of the
Mm,
actors improvise. And as they improvise, they add some cool phrases of their own,
mm.
phrases that are mostly used by um, English speakers. So I don't really think it's so much about watch this movie, watch that movie. I think it's about you, especially using the subtitles. Once you use the subtitles, it's about you listening in, especially where the dialogues are. So when two people or three people are talking, there are
Mm.
this around that period of the movie is where you can get a lot of the cool phrases where the dialogues are when two or three people are
Yeah,
talking.
when people are just
That's
talking
where,
like in normal
yeah,
life. Mm.
yes, yes, yes.
Okay, and that's a really good way to look at the subtitles as well. Like they make it accessible, and like especially if your goal, like it was for you, is to really add more expressions and yeah, speak in a more natural way. So like, okay, you learned English at school, but you know that like they didn't teach you like all the expressions, or obviously there's always new things being
That's
added to
that's the
any
thing.
language.
That's the thing. That's the
Yeah.
thing. Because you would just in school, you would just be even when you learn uh say on your by let's say from some books or something, or even audio courses or video courses, uh, it's very standard, so you're given
Mm.
the standard way of speaking English. But then when most people, even there was a time I wanted not that I wanted to learn, I actually learned how to speak Spanish. Yes.
Right.
And uh yeah, you realize that how you learn, or when you're learning, whoever is teaching you tries to make it very standard and
Mm.
very formal, yes, as best as they can. But then when you meet someone when you meet a native, you realize that they speak faster and they
Mm.
use some slang words and jargons that
Yeah,
you
you
get
never
at
learned.
the end of the
Yeah.
day. You get, yes, and at the end of the day, you just get lost. Yes.
Mm.
So one of the ways you can learn these few things is to just listen in on and pay more attention to the dialogues in movies, one, and dialogues in books. Yes, so uh, and sometimes to not just even interviews, not just movies per se, but interviews too, because interviews is between two people. So you hear some of these things that, but the reason I recommend movies is fun. That's it.
Yeah,
It's fun.
exactly. Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, you can't argue with that. Like, I remember one of my students said to me, like, it's cool. You teach us how to learn with movies. Like, who doesn't like movies? It's true that you don't meet many
Yeah,
people who
yeah,
don't like
yeah,
movies. So,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
All right. Cool. Well, those are really awesome tips. Thank you so much for sharing your experience. I think it's really good for people to learn or hear this from somebody who's in the same position as them,
Yeah.
who learned English in a formal way and is trying to figure out okay, how can I actually learn how it really sounds and how people really speak it. So that was really cool for you to share that with us. So obviously I'm going to link to the Medium article that you wrote under this video. So basically, if you missed anything from this video, don't worry, just read the article and you'll have all the tips. Is there anywhere else we can find you on the internet apart from Medium? Do you have a website or anything like this?
You can find me on LinkedIn. Yes,
Okay.
that's LinkedIn. David Curtis Mintah.
Okay. Cool. All right.
David
Nice.
Curtis Mintah. Yeah.
Okay. I'll put it under the video as well.
I'll send you.
Send
the
me.
link.
Yeah.
I'll send you the profile link.
The profile. Perfect. Yeah. Okay. So if people want to get in touch with you, they can do it on there as well. Okay. Nice. Well, thank you so much, Curtis. And we'll enjoy watching movies.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
for
watching,
having me.
everyone. Bye.